2026, affordability is to me, it's a misnomer because your budget will adjust to whatever you want it to be. If you have $1,000 budget and you want to, figure out a way to get a house payment into that, we'll figure out a way to do it.
And a location. When people say location or affordability, what they really mean is want to be right here.
Right.
And that is not affordable according to my budget. Howdy, it's B.
Hey there, I'm Mark, and we're your real estate dream team.
That's right. We are handing you the keys and cranking the gears that turn your dreams into your.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about 2026 real estate market, Bess. Oh my gosh, what's happening in the real
My
estate
crystal
world?
ball's broken. Tag, you're it. Take it. This is your episode. I don't know.
Mine's in Bohemia getting polished so I can see it better. But
no, seriously, there's some interesting trends that are already
100%
peeking out their heads.
The first thing I want you to do is stop listening to the news. Okay, please don't tell me affordability. Don't tell me mortgage rates are too high. Don't tell me homes are too expensive. None of that matters.
Because two things. One, we're Texas.
Right.
And Texas is, in fact, a different country.
Right.
And two, you forget, I mean, whether it's social media or national news, hello, it's all national.
And they have something to sell. They want your eyeball hooked. So they're going to tell you something
They want you
negative,
to swipe.
Right.
So they're going to say some things that, when you dig in, it's
not real.
Doesn't apply.
No, because having professionals that can tell you, here's really what's going on.
Right.
Just neighborhood by neighborhood, it's different. Right.
Oh,
So some neighborhoods are dropping in price. Some neighborhoods are in multiple offers nonstop. Right. Some mortgage rates are down for some people. They're up for others. So what is it for you? Don't listen to that and make your decision based on, what you're hearing in the news or what you find online or how asking ChatGPT will not give you the right answers because this process is a little too complicated for AI to give you the right answers right now. It gives you kind of an overall view, but my point is you can find the cure for cancer online if you look hard enough. Chat will give you the answer how to, cure cancer. Is it the real answer? Probably not. Is it the right answer for you? Probably not. So let's talk about anything going on in the real estate world that the buyer today needs to know. Buyer or seller, actually. Let's talk both sellers and buyers. Because if you're selling, you got to buy something, right? So you become a buyer anyway. So let's talk about that. What comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to mind when you say seller is when people reach out to me. They're like, hey, we want to sell in 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. What should we do to get the most bang for our buck? We are open to doing some refreshing in preparation for selling. And the first thought is post-pandemic, people underestimate, unless you have sold recently, how important a backyard space has become in the mind of consumers across the board.
So that trend is continuing. Outdoor space is important.
Yes, because now, I mean, even though pandemic times was already 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It still is fresh enough in everyone's mind. There is that subliminal ask of, well, if I get locked in for 18 months, am I okay here?
Yeah.
That's a lot of it.
Do you see any changes in styles? A while back we had that farmhouse style, that came into being. Before that, it was
Juliana and Magnolia.
And before that, craftsman style. It was all these phases we go through. Do you see that phase changing anytime soon, or just still?
I think it's getting nuanced.
Yeah, like in what way?
Going back to pandemic, people now are looking more for that home that hugs, and less for that home that just looks really good when they're entertaining friends, or really good on Pinterest, or really good as a backdrop for their Zoom calls or whatever else. People are now leaning a little bit more into how does that vibe, how does that home feel? And also along those lines, open spaces, a building trend is, yes, selected open floor plan, but not broad open floor plan, which was a real push for a long time. Now people are realizing, sure, the gathering spaces, kitchen, living room, it's great to have them open, especially open to the backyard.
Hmm.
But we do need our little office space. We do need our just us space. We do need maybe
Nooks and
our
crannies.
nooks and cranny, our yoga space, our quiet coffee, no kids in the morning space. Those are becoming a little bit. So it's like a melding of open floor plan with private getaway spaces is a growing trend.
Okay.
And I guess an illustration of that is especially in the luxury market, the highlight, and that let's define that as, let's say, the 5 million up home. You're actually seeing multiple rooms that actually are kind of described either on the architect's plan or in MLS listings or whatever, with particular names, music room, library, wine room, meditation room, uh, Costco closet.
Yeah, the gym, the whatever. Yeah,
Right,
you're right.
right. Yeah,
The man cave.
man cave. There you go. Podcast, and then that's one thing, is a podcast space, podcast studio, like that's becoming a thing too.
Wow.
And people are using that for like their Zoom work calls as well as everything else. But
I'm
I,
sorry.
I
What what about what about neighborhoods? Is the trend continuing that some people are preferring suburbs over in-town living? Is it coming back to in-town living? Is it still
It's a mixed
50-50?
bag.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag, because it's all about priorities.
Right.
What is
What's important to your lifestyle, right? As
right,
a homeowner, as a buyer,
right,
how are you living?
right. Well,
You know.
because ideally, we're in agreement on this. The ideal home is the one that when you drive up in the driveway, you're pinching yourself. Oh, I can't believe I live here, because it makes me feel so good. It's not a drag.
Right.
So, for some people, that means the commute is 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Because if they go beyond that, now the house is a drag. For some people, it is 5 minutes from the kids' school or soccer
Yeah.
fields
Or being
or
around their friends or whatever it is. Yeah.
right, or being
Whatever.
able to
And they
being
make
able to ride a
sacrifices
bike
accordingly.
to a grocery store.
Yeah.
Or
Right. Right. Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's the
So there's
ideal
no
home.
one answer to all that.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. What about size of home? Are we getting smaller yet in the size of home that people look for, or do they still go bigger and bigger and bigger?
Right? That's a great question. It it almost depends. Going back to it kind of touches on, well,
Your
going
lifestyle,
back to the national headlines about affordability,
right?
it almost depends. Um, I mean, buying your ideal home, uh, I share with my tribe as we agree to be a team in finding their keys or their keys to their
Yeah.
next home. It is a uh, it's an algorithm.
Hmm.
It's a very personal algorithm, and it's made of three key buckets, in my humble opinion.
Okay.
And that is location and price,
Yeah.
talking about affordability,
Right.
location and price and condition. And
Mm.
only you, as adult of you, know which of those buckets have more value.
Yeah.
And it's the combination that you're okay with, where 2 plus 5 plus 7 equals the 1.
Right. Exactly.
Only you can determine that, because I
Right.
can't read your mind and heart and soul. And I mean, that's just part of
And
the process.
as you shop for homes, those three things can change too, because your eyes get open. Because we all live in bubbles,
Right.
right? So once Best starts showing you different neighborhoods, different houses,
Mm.
different conditions, different price points, all of a sudden a light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh, maybe we don't want
And that's
all the,
another trend in 2026
Right.
that I'm already seeing more and more of, is talking about opening your eyes.
Right.
People are starting to shift a little bit. They're becoming aware of the fact that that agent you contact on Zillow is literally the agent that was willing to pay the highest price possible to be the first person to be clicked on when you're in Zillow. They're now understanding that you need to be aware of that. And now I'm seeing already more and more people are talking to their GPT, whatever that
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
their AI
Their version. Yeah.
version,
Yeah.
and instead asking it to be part of their partnership and sharing their ideal lifestyle, and the AI is making suggestions. And that's a whole nother topic, but staying up abroad and
Hmm.
talking about trends, I believe AI and talking to your AI, whatever your preference is about lifestyles, is going to become more and more of
It's
a
gonna
as
be more
part
helpful.
of the
Yeah,
process.
it's going to help you
Talking about
narrow
neighborhoods or
things
things
down.
like that, yeah.
But
Now, is it always right? No, I've had some
no,
people send me and say, "Well, Bess, you haven't shown me anything, and according to my AI, da, da, da." I'm like, "Well, that's because
you're right.
there's
There's a
a
reason.
concrete plant about a half a mile away, and y'all said you like the outdoors."
Right.
So I'm just saying, concrete plant may not
Yeah.
be your ideal.
Trust but verify. Trust but verify with
So
ChatGPT or any GPT. All right. So on the lending side, I think 2026 we're going to see the same rates as you see in the last
mhm,
year. For all those that you are waiting for lower rates, it's going to happen sporadically. Okay. We're going to
mhm,
have a week here and there, like we already have had.
mhm.
We had a couple of days where the rate was below 6% and everybody was up and,
But overall, talking about a 30,000 level
yeah,
view, overall, in 2026, we have started a full 1% less than about this time last year
right.
in
So,
2025,
so
right?
in
Improvement.
2020, we were consistently closer to 7% than we were to 6%. In
Mhm.
2025, we were consistently closer to 6.5% than we were to 7%. Now we're in the phase where hopefully we're going to stay closer to 6% than 6.5%. Okay. So that's kind of how I look at it 2026 rate wise. But again, like I told you in many other podcasts before, this is not the ball to keep an eye on. The rate is the rate. You're not going to time the market. You're not going to pick the week when it drops down below 6%. If it happens, great. It can't be the be all for your house buying process,
The
right?
driver, the decision driver.
It can't be the decision driver. So when I pre-approve people, I tell them, here's your house payment at 6%. Here it is at 6.5%, and see the
Well, that's
difference.
helpful.
I did the same. I qualified people for 8% back in the day and said, if the rate goes beyond the 7.25 that we're at now and goes to 8%, here's your house payment. You can't buy as much house as you want to, right?
Mhm.
So at least you go into this process with eyes open. So in 2026, affordability is to me it's a misnomer because your budget will adjust to whatever you want it to be, right? So if you have $1,000 budget and you want to, figure out a way to get a house payment into that, we'll figure out a way to do it.
Mhm.
So
And we'll find a
affordability,
location, because that is another
that's
thing.
right.
When people say location or affordability, what they really mean is, "I wanna be right here,"
Right.
and that is not affordable according to my budget, having chatted with Mark.
And
And said,
and
"No, we have
and
to
what we've discussed
shift."
previously is this is a step-by-step process. You
Mhm,
buy a house for 3 years, make money with it, move on to the next house that makes you money, move on to the next one, and
mhm,
eventually you end up in your dream home, in your
mhm,
dream neighborhood.
mhm,
That's gonna be your house for 10, 15 years after
mhm,
that, right?
mhm.
But you can't start there. And even if you currently own a house and you're a house number 1 and you buy house number 2, that number 2 house is probably not your dream home. To me, I was in my dream neighborhood on my 4th house. 4th house was in my dream neighborhood. It wasn't the dream house. That was the next step after that. But the other 3 houses enabled me to get into that dream
Mhm,
neighborhood,
mhm.
right? And that 4th house then enabled to buy the dream house, the 4th house. Anyway, so there's my
I
point. It's
gotcha.
2026. Keep your eye on the right ball. Are you ready to buy a house? You know, and talk to professionals as always. Don't listen to the world because it's going to feed you negative information, bad information. So
What negative?
yes, right. They sell negative. Everything's negative. Right.
We are, like, ready to come alongside and help you figure it out.
Right. All right. So here's the question I get frequently is how do I get to my dream home? Right. What's
So
the
what is
path?
first gear?
Right. What's the first gear, second gear, third gear? And really you have to have a plan. Okay. So
Alright?
have a timeline as to, I want to buy a house, stop renting, stop wasting money. That's step number one. I want to buy a house that maybe is higher than my current monthly rent payment.
Okay.
Okay, start there. That's marginally higher than what you're paying in rent. And you accept the fact that it's not a dream home, it's not in your dream neighborhood, but that house, again, if it's a $200,000 house, is giving you $15,000 a year in equity
As
every year
well
you
as
own
being
it.
a roof over your head,
Right.
like your rental. So it's take that rental as a baseline,
That's right.
and now
So you're paying rent anyway,
you're Xing it.
right?
Yeah.
You're paying rent anyway. And what if you spend an extra $500 you're not spending today and getting in return, getting $1,000 a month back? How does that look then,
Nice.
right?
That's better than the stock market.
That,
50%.
so shifting that mindset to saying I'm paying rent anyway, and let's assume it's $1,500. If I spend $2,000, I can buy a house that's going to give me $1,000 back. So really, I'm paying $1,000 a month, right?
Mhm.
So that's step number one. Change that mindset into analyzing and realizing that that can be done. It's not your dream forever home. Gear number two then becomes that 10,000, 15,000 you made every year. In year three, you're hopefully also making more money than you were 3 years ago.
You mean income-wise?
Your income goes up as time goes on,
Because the
right?
house is making money for you, but you're saying separate from that personal income.
So now fast forward 3 years, let's assume you've made $45,000 on that current house that you own. Now you can take that $45,000 and invest it in the next bigger house,
Mhm.
along with higher income, which allows you to buy more house.
Mhm.
Your monthly payment can be much higher, right? Fast forward 3 years after that.
Without, uh, cutting into this current first home lifestyle
Right,
too much.
right,
I mean.
right.
Mhm.
And so you end up with house payments that are in line with where you are in your place in life, right? Instead of if you look back, renting will keep you renting, right? Because
It's money that just goes away.
your rent keeps going up every year, right?
Mhm.
It's not going up as much as your house payments would, but it's also not paying you back. So the math really does work out that you stay in houses 3, 4 years at a time,
Mhm.
recoup that money, put it in the next bigger house. And you can really fast track getting to your dream house if you do ladder like that
Mhm.
and have a plan. But if you're just living for the day and if you're just saying, I just want a place to park my things,
Mhm.
then you're probably never going to get to your
Right,
dream
because
house.
4 apartments later,
Right.
you're kind of still at the same spot versus 4 homes later,
It's a little bit of
you've
a chess
changed
game.
you've changed your lifestyle quite
You,
a
you
bit.
got you got to think steps ahead. Right now, I'm 30 years old.
Mhm.
What does my life look like when I'm 40?
Mhm.
Where do I want it to be at that point? Right. So if you're 30 now and you're expecting to buy $1 million house, it's just not realistic.
You gotta get to buying a
Right.
house today.
In the next 10 years, if you can buy 3 houses, it may get you there.
Especially since, was it the algorithm I heard or the little from National Association of Realtors is the average, consumer ramps up anywhere from 25 to 31% home value
Yeah.
between house to house to
Yeah.
house.
100%. I'm all, it's really not that complicated. Most people just don't buy
Mhm.
with a exit plan in
Mhm.
place. They buy because they are emotional. They're
Mhm.
buying because they want a house.
So
But they're not thinking 3 steps ahead, and
right.
that's where people go
So to
wrong.
break it out, what you're saying and take that 25 to 30%, 31% into account. You buy first house at 350, then your next house naturally is 500 to 600,
That's right.
which means your next house is
Is a million.
800, and then in 4 houses you're at that million,
Yeah,
which
you're
is
in the
pretty
right neighborhood, in
fantastic.
the right home,
Mhm.
with the right payment that suits your lifestyle. You've gradually laddered up your lifestyle, not a sudden change.
Mhm.
There's first-time home buyers that buy through family fortune, for example, buy their dream home and then call 2 years later and say, "This is crazy. They just weren't ready," right? They had a down payment. They could do everything on paper,
Mhm.
but they weren't ready. And it's what I call a real estate maturity. You have to have a real estate maturity, which means you can't just buy your dream home as your first home, it backfires. It's like when you come out of college and you want to buy yourself a Corvette, it's going to backfire. Okay, that whole process is not a good. You got to work your way into that, and the responsibility of owning that next bigger
Mhm.
house, it goes up. Let's not kid
Mindset, all the
ourselves,
things,
right?
yeah.
You got to have more maturity in your life before you can own that
Very
bigger house,
nice.
right?
Who knew that parenting 101 was part of the,
Or
the process?
psychiatrists,
Oh, you're great, yes.
parents, all the above. We do all that.
Oh my gosh. So thank you for joining us this time on Keys and Gears. As you know, we share all the things. And if you want to have more, have us share more things with you, what an awkward finish on that one. Like, subscribe, and you'll be the first to know.
See you then.